Hello everybody, it's your friendly digital technology librarian, Christy here. We've reached another Friday, so of course I have another Film Rec Friday ready for everybody out there. Now, earlier this week was the summer solstice, and I just happened to be surfing around on YouTube when I came across this live stream of sunrise over at Stonehenge. Now, I have never been at a sunrise at Stonehenge, but after participating in the live stream, I kind of want to now because honestly, it was one, absolutely gorgeous, but two, really sort of strangely magical. So, in the live stream, there was also a crowd of people also physically there witnessing the sunrise, and just the knowledge that you're experiencing something, although virtually, with so many other people. It was just a really interesting experience. Anyway, since watching this video, I've been sort of filled with this kind of odd, nostalgic, fantasy-focused drive, and I thought this week might be a really fun time to look at some of my personal favorite nostalgic fantasy films, all of which are available entirely for free with the use of your Milan-Berlin library card via both our CleveNet services on DVD and Blu-ray, as well as via our Canopy streaming service. So without any further ado, let's get to the Rex. Okay, I'm going to kick things off with a recommendation that may get me the side eye from some people, but let me preface things by saying there are very specific reasons for me including this on the list of my favorite fantasy films. This is available on both DVD and Blu-ray via our CleveNet service, and it is 1985's Legend. Okay, before you click away, again, I have reasons for including this on my list. So, yes, this film stars a very young Tom Cruise when he's at a period in his acting career where his performance is not great. But I do really, really love the whole quest element. In this film, we are following a world that has been flung into an eternal night, and Jack, the character Tom Cruise plays, has to figure out a way to dispel this overwhelming darkness that has encroached upon the world. That is a really simplified summary of what goes on in this, and I know that. But the big, big draw of this movie is Tim Curry playing the villain, a character who is just known by the moniker Darkness. I mean, I saw this movie first when I was about 4 years old, and the character design for Darkness has stayed with me until I turned 41 on Saturday. This has been one of my favorite villainous character designs pretty much the entirety of my life. When I think of evil fantasy characters, this is one of the first things that pops to mind. It is just iconic. And the design was so well done that this actually even garnered a nomination for an Oscar. Not the acting. Tom Cruise, again, not at the pinnacle of his acting career at this point, but really that character design was so well done. The makeup, it's all, and it's like the mid 80s, so it's all practical effects with that makeup. I mean, it's just incredible. And Tim Curry is one of my favorite actors of all time. I think he is so good at playing these kinds of unusual villains that when I see his name on a cast list, I know kind of what I'm going to get. Not in a Christopher Walken, he's just playing himself way, no, but in a fully immersive experience kind of way. He just goes for it. And sometimes it ends up being a bit over the top, and sometimes it's just pitch perfect. And in this case, it is absolutely perfect. There are also some incredibly beautiful, macabre scenes that are so transportive. Like you really do feel immersed in this absolutely beautiful, eerie fantasy world. Because again, we're in a universe that has been flung into an eternal night, so it's not bright and happy and fluffy. I mean, we're not visiting Hobbiton. Like, this is not that. So they're just some incredible moments. And when you fit it all together, it just really works. The music and the score, it's really just incredible. Um, Again, would it be better if the main character was a really good actor? Absolutely. But this film is one that he does a serviceable job with the character. He's not so terrible as to make this just like a complete wash. But there's so many amazing elements to it that I think a lot of people just overlook it as sort of this sad job done. And I really wish they wouldn't, because it is a really good movie in a lot of ways. Um, and I do think that there's so many iconic moments in it. There is this one, I don't want to give any spoilers, because if you haven't seen it, you really should check it out. And you do happen to be a fantasy fan, you absolutely need to check it out. There's this one sequence that I think of in particular that is just really beautifully done, where it combines music with some practical special effects with some incredible costume design that is so eerily beautiful that I kind of measure a lot of other films up against it, because a lot of other films take that vibe, that sort of eerily beautiful, macabre sort of feeling, and try and make it work on screen, and they're just not successful. Whereas this movie, which at the time had not done well at all, it's now a cult classic, but when it came out, it just did not reach people. Um, but even through that, managed to make these moments that really had impact. So yeah, if you're looking for a fantasy film that is visually stunning, that has pockets of real brilliance, and that has a stellar villain, and I mean stellar villain, make sure you check out Legend. Again, you might not have a peak Tom Cruise performance here, but everything else really is incredible. So, 100% worth the watch. Check it out on DVD and Blu-ray via our CleveNet service, 1985's Legend. Okay, my next recommendation is also available on DVD via our CleveNet service, and that is 2004's Howl's Moving Castle. I absolutely adore this animated feature so much. I'm a big Studio Ghibli fan, but there's just something absolutely magical about this movie. So Howl's Moving Castle is based on the 1986 novel by the same name by British author Diana Wynne Jones, and in it we are following a young woman named Sophie who is leading just an ordinary life, when all of a sudden she's flung into this magical experience with a magician named Howl and his moving castle. And it's such an incredible adventure that she goes on. And there's fighting and battles and all of that actiony element to it, but there's also love and romance and humor. And both the Japanese original cast and the English dub cast do an incredible job of bringing the characters to life. And there's so many odd, quirky characters that would not work with the wrong performers voicing them. In the English dub cast, you've got a lot of really big names, and sometimes sort of stunt casting does not work at all, and that's always terrible when that happens. But in this case, it's so well done. Sophie is played by Emily Mortimer, who always does a lovely job. She's very much like your classically trained British actress. And Howl is played by Christian Bale, who I feel like really immerses himself in any role that he gets, sometimes too much. Hello, machinist, I'm looking at you. But he does this he does an amazing job when it's even just his voice, and I really do think he does an incredible job as the wizard Howl. Then we are talking about some other rather quirky characters. You have this little fire spirit named Calcifer, played by the incomparable Billy Crystal. Um, I I think we all are aware of the character of Mike Wazowski in Monsters Inc. at this point. Billy Crystal knows how to do a voiceover role, and that is absolutely on display when he plays Calcifer. He has that sort of clever, quippy ability to turn a phrase and make you laugh, even when the phrase isn't that funny. There's just something about his performance that works absolutely marvelously as this sort of sassy fire sprite. And then we have Lauren Bacall playing the villain in this one, and she also had this great sort of darker, deeper, growly kind of tone to her, and as a villainous witch, totally on point. Um, and so you have this incredibly well crafted storyline to begin with. And Miyazaki, uh, who is just an absolutely masterful creator, wrote and directed this, and he just adapts the base material so well to moving pictures, and it just transports you. You know, you really do go on Sophie's journey with her, and her high points are elevated by Joe Hisaishi's sound score, and so everything feels really real, even though we're just watching an animated feature. Just so sad, but I mean, you don't necessarily expect to be able to be transported by something based in animation, and this is so successful at doing that, as are most of Studio Ghibli's core films. You know, that's just one of those magical elements to them. So if you're looking for a very family friendly film that, you know, does have an incredible English dub cast, and I'm someone who generally will prefer English or initial language tracks, so I always prefer watching Japanese films in the Japanese language, or Chinese films in Chinese language. But this one, that English dub, it is chef's kiss. Seriously, it's really, really good. So definitely highly recommended. 2004's Howl's Moving Castle, available via our CleveNet service. And while I'm on the topic of Studio Ghibli films, another one just going to briefly mention, Kiki's Delivery Service. I believe that was 1989. Also incredibly well done, available via CleveNet on DVD. And this one is another one of the animated films that has an incredible original Japanese cast, but a phenomenal English dub cast. Kirsten Dunst plays Kiki, who is this witch who is at a point in her life where she is culturally sent out into the world to sort of learn how to be a witch on her own. And her constant companion Gigi is this sassy black cat voiced by the amazing Phil Hartman. The two of them are just amazing together. Like I said, very quick mention, but Kiki's Delivery Service, if you're looking for another fantasy family friendly film, another absolutely perfect recommendation for you. Okay, my final recommendation is available for stream on Canopy, and that is 1987's anthology television series, The Storyteller. Now, I'll try and be quick with this one. It is one of those TV series that I still watch periodically to this very day because it's so amazing. It's from the people from Henson's Workshop, and it just does an incredible job of adapting a number of both well-known and lesser-known European fairy tales into these beautifully produced little vignettes that incorporate both incredibly well done puppeteering work. I mean, of course, it's from the Henson Workshop, along with live action performance and performers. It's just kind of magic to see it happen on screen. Each story is introduced by a duo of John Hurt, who is an unbelievable actor. He's the storyteller from the title, and his faithful dog. And the two of them have this great interaction, and it's very witty and quippy and fun. And then it segues into the stories themselves, some of which are very dark and heavy. I mean, they're very much traditional Grimm style fairy tales, and this does a great job of not shying away from the darkness in those. You know, they are based on pretty intense stories, so the resultant adaptation is pretty intense and dark sometimes. Um, Now that said, I watched this when I was a kid. I remember they aired when I was probably 5 or 6, and I absolutely adored all of them. And I still to this day absolutely adore them. They're really, really incredibly well done. The production design is really, really fascinating, and just the way they've created some of these characters and the way the puppet designers have, managed to make some of this work so well on screen is just absolutely amazing to me. So if you happen to have a love for really, really solid production design, if you have any interest in puppeteering or puppetry works in general, if you just like a good fairy tale, then you absolutely have to check out The Storyteller. It is, again, available on Canopy, as is its spin-off, The Storyteller Greek Myths. I will say I prefer the original Storyteller line, but the ones that they've done on Greek Myths are also really highly entertaining and very well done. So both of those are going to be available to stream on Canopy. So strongly recommended. Hopefully you'll check them out because they are 100% worth the watch. Okay, so those were some of my favorite nostalgic fantasy picks. If you have any recommendations that you would like to share with everybody, please make sure that you comment with those below. If you have any recommendations for themes for us to cover in the future, please definitely let me know about those. I can always use the help as far as that goes. Uh, as always, thank you so much for joining me. I love putting these lists together. It's just so much fun to sort of do these deep dives into our catalog. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Again, thank you for joining me, and hopefully I will see you next week. Bye-bye.